for TESCON. The future of MPP depends on you. So let me assure TESCON, the future of MPP depends on you. So let me assure TESCON that the party values you and will do everything within our means to support you. Be proud of the fact that under the leadership of President Akufo-Addo and with the support of all of us, Ghana has the power to rise above any situation and make our nation great and strong. God bless our nation, Ghana. I thank you.
Put your hands together for the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you very much, our beautiful First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, for the very, very inspiring and kind words this afternoon. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Now the moment is almost here. The time that we always, and we've been always waiting for. But before then, let's acknowledge the presence of the CEO for the National Buffer Stock, Alhaji Hanan Abdul Wahab. Please put your hands together for Alhaji. Thank you, Alhaji, for all your support for the National Youth Wing and TESCON. Let's acknowledge the presence of the CEO for the Youth Employment Authority, Mr. Justin. Thank you for all your support. Let's acknowledge the presence of the former. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's acknowledge the presence of the former. Thank you, TESCON, thank you enough. Let's acknowledge the presence of the former Deputy Minister for Health, Dr. Oko Boy. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us. Thank you, TESCON, thank you. Because of time, let's minimize it. We acknowledge the presence of the former Executive Director for the Dankwa Institute, Mr. Richard Ahiagwe. Richard, if you are here, we thank you for all you've done for us up to now. We also acknowledge the presence of the coordinator for the Special Development Initiatives at the Office of the President, Madam Napaga Tia Sulemana. Please put your hands together for Madam Napaga. And then equally we acknowledge the presence of Honorable Ben Abdallah, the coordinator for the Zongo and Nina City development. And then we also acknowledge the communications director for the New Patriotic Party, Lawyer Boaben Asamoah. Please put your hands together for Lawyer Boaben Asamoah. Time is fast spent, time is running, and so we acknowledge all of us as we move on. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? The moment is here. The time that we've all been waiting for. Are you ready? TESCON, if you are ready, let me hear all the noise that you have here. And then, before Akosia does the introduction, please, let's acknowledge the presence of Ambassador Michael Kwei Jr., the CEO for Free Zones Authority. Thank you, Ambassador, for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today the nation and beyond are very attentive because of one reason. The Vice President of the Republic speaks shortly. Very few times in our political history has a nation so given weight to the words of a second gentleman. This, however, is not new to the ever-vibrant Dr. Bawumia. Ever since his emergence onto the political scene, the economic whiz has always held the nation's ear as the leading economic voice of reason. In opposition, the government looked to him for economic advice, and now that he's in government, the opposition still yearns to hear from him on economic issues. A champion of bold ideas, Dr. Bawumia in 5 years has led the biggest digitalization drive on the continent as part of the process of reforming the very structure of our economy. Like him or dislike him, it is a fact that he has been Ghana's most proactive vice president since independence. His words resound like a political titan, and his lecture is literally an academic experience for the nation's best minds. In a time when we battle back from a raging pandemic and the new geopolitical conflict, it falls on the vice president who took us out of the crisis of the leadership of the economic management team of a previous regime to provide a path for the nation under the able leadership of the Commander-in-Chief Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The nation is keen, the government is working, the opposition is waiting to take notes, and we are ready to listen. With a standing ovation, shall we welcome the one and only genius, an enigma, the confounder of the opposition, our economic messiah, our digitalization prophet. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President, His Excellency, Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Niggas in a strap and trap pretty talking, I swear to God.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Our National Chairman, Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, my boss's beautiful Rebecca. Your Excellency, the Second Lady of the Republic, Hajia Samira Bawumia, my own beautiful Samira. The General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Sir John Boydu, Ministers of State, the Majority Chief Whip, Deputy Majority Chief Whip, Members of Parliament, our National Executives, MMDCs, our Central Regional Chairman, our host Chairman, Chairman Kutin, Regional Chairman, Regional and Constituency Executives, CEOs and Deputy CEOs, the TESCOM President, and executives, TESCON members, friends from the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, commitment. Good evening. It is my pleasure and privilege to once again have the opportunity to address you at this important national conference. I would like to thank the organizers, Dankwa Institute and the National Youth Wing for the invitation to speak at this conference today. Today, I want to address the state of the economy. The issues about national economies and how well individual countries are handling their respective economic situations appear to be the most important thing on people's minds in recent times. From the man on the street to the business mogul, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the shelter we seek or have, the benevolence we extend to friends and family, the health of the economy is the foundational instrument. To bring this home, essentially, the economy is what we feel in our pockets. I acknowledge that we are going through challenging times. This is the reality, irrespective of the cause. Not long ago, we had felt similar despair, the fear of losing our lives to a pandemic, and the near halt to our economy as we battle to survive each day. Some years ago, we had been confronted by very dire circumstances. The joblessness of our youth, the years of doomsday that adversely impacted on businesses and jobs, the disappointment of dealing with a collapsed national health insurance system, and the inability to access health care, the bane of the cash and carry system, a nearly collapsed national system, the freeze on public sector employment, and an almost collapsed banking sector, and so on. The economy was on the verge of collapse, and a legacy of take-or-pay contracts saddled the economy with annual excess capacity charges of close to $1 billion a year. These were basically contracts to supply energy to Ghana way in excess of our requirements, but we were obligated to pay for the power whether we use it or not. We were confronted with a banking crisis, and not dealing decisively with it would have meant disaster for the economy, as the entire banking system, in addition to not keeping up with the excess capacity payments for energy, would have meant throwing the country back into the new bout of doomsday. The government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo put in a lot of effort to turn things around from the situation that used to be when we came into office in 2017. We had only one mission: stop the decline and make things better. Together, as a country, we proceeded to fix the economy. We made great gains, and the records attest to this. Prior to the coronavirus pandemic, which has impacted virtually all economies in the world, we stabilized the economy. We reduced inflation. We doubled economic growth in the first 3 years. We reduced the rate of depreciation of the cedi. The average depreciation from 2017 to 2020 was the lowest since 1992. We reduced the fiscal deficit. We improved the external payments position, reduced interest rates in line with declining inflation expectations, and we cleaned up the mess in the financial sector that we inherited. We took the decisive action to avoid the collapse of the financial sector and to save the deposits of 4.6 million people. Thousands of businesses would have collapsed if we had not saved the banking sector. We implemented our flagship programs, such as free SHS, Planting for Food and Jobs, One District, One Factory, NAPCO, IPEP, the Zongo Development Fund, restoration of teacher and nursing training allowances, and we embarked on the digitalization of the economy. The relatively strong performance of the economy, among other things, led to Ghana being the destination of choice for foreign direct investment in West Africa, according to the 2019 World Investment Report by UNCTAD. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic changed the economic circumstances of virtually every country in the world. Today, our economy is witnessing rising prices of fuel and virtually all commodities like bread, rice, sugar, sachet water, cement, iron rods, and so on. From Malata Market through Abofo Market to Techiman Market to Takoradi Market Circle to Pando and almost everywhere across the country, prices are on the rise. In the first quarter of this year, we have also suffered a sovereign credit ratings downgrade by 2 ratings agencies. And along with that, there has been a significant depreciation of the cedi between February and March this year. These developments, ladies and gentlemen, have come as a surprise to many Ghanaians. And in the ensuing discussions, many questions have been asked about the state of the economy. These questions include: what has happened to the fundamentals? Why are the prices of goods and services increasing so fast? Why has the cedi depreciated so fast this year? Why has the fiscal deficit and the debt stock increased so much? What projects and programs does government have to show for the higher debt? Are the government flagship programs like free SHS the cause of our current economic challenges? How about the promise to move the economy from a focus on taxation to a focus on production? Where is the new economy that government promised to build? How has the government tackled corruption? What has the government done to relieve suffering of Ghanaians? And how is the government solving the current economic challenges? Today, I will address these questions based on data and facts. I will admit where there are challenges, but hopefully we will all leave here with a better understanding of the state of the economy. where we have come from, where we are, and where we are going. So, let's take the first question. What has happened to the fundamentals? Let's examine the economic fundamentals. Are weak fundamentals the reason for our current economic challenges? What is the data saying about variables like inflation, interest rates, external sector performance, the fiscal balance, the debt stock, GDP growth, and the exchange rate? Our assessment of the fundamentals will be based on the evolution of these variables over time. Mr. Chairman, countries and economies, I'm looking at inflation now. Countries and economies throughout the world are experiencing severe challenges following the COVID-19 pandemic and the more recent Russia-Ukraine war. The pandemic, which started early in 2020, resulted in the greatest economic depression since the 1930s, with most countries recording negative growth. Supply chain disruptions and the rising price of oil has resulted in the prices of fuel going up across the globe, with petrol prices doubling in most countries. In fact, in the world today, the highest petroleum prices can be found in countries like Hong Kong, the Netherlands, Zimbabwe, Germany, Israel, and the United Kingdom. Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, the global cost of shipping a container has increased from $1,446 in 2019. The global average cost for shipping a container has gone up from $1,446 in December 2019 to $9,789 as at February 2022. This is an increase of 576% to ship a container globally. This has dramatically increased the cost of shipping goods and therefore their prices on the market. Food prices have also not been left out. The Food and Agricultural Organization, the FAO Global Food Index, Price Index, increased from 91 at the end of 2019 to 140 in February 2022, an increase of 48%. The increase in commodity prices has been exacerbated by the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia and Ukraine together account for 30% of the global wheat exports. The longer the conflict ensues, the greater will be the disruption to global food supplies. The conflict is also likely to slow global growth. According to the African Development Bank, the price of wheat has shot up by 62% since the war began, and the price of fertilizer is up by 300%, and the price of maize is up by 36% since the war began. Here in Ghana, 60% of our total imports of iron ore and steel are from Ukraine. Russia accounts for some 30% of Ghana's imported grains, 50% of flour, and 39% of fertilizer. So, we are directly affected by the Russia-Ukraine war. Unfortunately, we do not know when it will be over. The global increase in fuel prices is causing hardships in even the most advanced economies like the United States of America. I want you to watch a video on the screen for just a minute showing the exasperation of a consumer in the United States to the increase in fuel prices over there. And this is a consumer complaining about fuel price increases. Global global inflation is on the rise, as I said, in many advanced economies like the UK and the USA, who are experiencing their highest inflation in 30 and 40 years respectively. Africa's largest oil producer, Nigeria, is experiencing fuel shortages, as you can see the queues for fuel on the screen. They are experiencing high food prices as well as power outages. Food prices are rising sharply in Algeria, and there are shortages there. There are food protests in Spain over high fuel prices, food and electricity bills. In the UK, consumers are complaining about energy bills, higher taxes, the water bill, higher national insurance, higher broadband charges, and so on. And in fact, the entire Eurozone is also feeling the pinch of rising prices. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, the data shows that in the UK and the US, for example, inflation is accelerating at 3 to 4 times its rate in 2019, before COVID. In Cote d'Ivoire, inflation is accelerating at 5 times its rate before COVID-19. In Nigeria and Ghana, inflation is accelerating between 1.3 and 2 times the rate before COVID. The path of inflation in Ghana has been similar to those of other countries following the COVID pandemic. Inflation had declined from an average of 17.5% in 2016 to an average of 7.2% by 2020. Since the pandemic, however, inflation has increased from an average of 7.2% to an average of 10% in 2021. As at February 2022, inflation rose further to 15.7% as a result of global conditions, including a rise in crude oil and other commodity prices and the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It is important, ladies and gentlemen, to note that between 2013 and 2016, inflation averaged 15.9%. Between 2017 and 2021, however, inflation averaged 10.4%, notwithstanding the impact of COVID. Look at interest rates. Before COVID-19, the steady disinflation process provided for significant monetary policy easing. The Bank of Ghana's monetary policy rate was cut by a cumulative 11% between January 2017 and January 2021. This translated into a reduction in short-term interest rates, with the interest rate on the 91-day Treasury bill declining from 21.2% between 2013 and 2016 to an average of 13.8% between 2017 and 2021. Lending rates have also fallen. Lending rates have also fallen from an average of 28% between 2013 and 2016 to an average of 23% between 2017 and 2021. So notwithstanding COVID-19, interest rates are still lower now than they were in the 2013 to 2016 period. In response to the recent increase in inflation, the Bank of Ghana has increased the monetary policy rate by 2.5% from 14.5% to 17%. So what is happening in the fundamentals, in the external sector fundamentals? So we look at external sector performance. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana's external payments position strengthened in the 2017 to 2021 period relative to the 2013 to 2016 years. For the first time in over 30 years, the trade balance, that is the difference between your exports and your imports, the trade balance recorded a surplus for 5 successive years, for the first time in over 30 years. We recorded surplus for 5 successive years. The trade balance was in deficit between 2013 and 2016, but moved from a deficit of 1.7 billion in 2016 to a surplus of 1.1 billion in 2017, a larger surplus of 1.8 billion in 2018, and an even larger surplus of 2.2 billion by 2019. The impact of COVID-19 has seen a reduction in the surplus to 2.04 billion in 2020 and a further reduction to 1.1 billion in 2021. Nevertheless, this is still a much stronger performance than the trade deficit of 1.7 billion recorded in 2016, which, ladies and gentlemen, the positive trade balances resulted in a narrowing of the current account deficit as a percentage of GDP between 2017 and 2019. But a subsequent widening of the deficit in 2020 and 2021 as a result of COVID-19. Even that, notwithstanding COVID-19, our current account position between 2017 and 2021 is much stronger than that between 2013 and 2016. Improvements in the current account performance and increased capital inflows have helped to boost Ghana's international reserves. The data shows that gross international reserves increased from 6.1 billion in 2016 to 8.4 billion 4 months of import cover by 2019, and subsequently to 9.6 billion 4.4 months of import cover at the end of 2021. By February 2022, the gross international reserves had decreased marginally to 9.5 billion for 4.3 months of import cover. So in terms of gross international reserves, our economic situation is still much stronger than what it was in the 2016 period. Now we come to the fiscal balance and the debt. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the developments in the fiscal balance show a remarkable and sharp dichotomy between the fiscal deficit, that is the difference between government revenue and government expenditure, before COVID and after COVID. The fiscal deficit between 2013 and 2016 averaged about 7% of GDP. Between 2017 and 2019, that is before COVID, the fiscal deficit declined to an average of 4.5%. For the first time in a decade, we recorded primary balance surpluses for 3 years in a row. And to sustain the path of fiscal discipline, Parliament passed into law a Fiscal Responsibility Act that limits the fiscal deficit in any year to a maximum of 5% of GDP and requires a positive primary balance. Then, out of the blue, we were doing so well, we had brought the fiscal deficit down from an average of 7.2% in 2013 to 2016 to 4.5% by 2019. Then, out of the blue, in 2020, COVID hit. It hit the world with devastating economic and health consequences. His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, had to take some quick and difficult decisions. The approach of the government was summed up in the President's famous statement that, and I quote, "We know how to bring back the economy, but we don't know how to bring back lives." So, the government made a deliberate and conscious decision to protect the lives and livelihoods of Ghanaians and to mitigate the suffering of households. Government therefore had no option than to suspend the fiscal responsibility law to allow for the higher expenditure. Economic growth in 2020 declined to 0.4%, and with it, there was also a decline in revenue mobilization of 12 billion Ghana cedis relative to target. At the same time that the revenues were declining, we had to spend more money to engage more health personnel. We hired 58,000 health personnel in this period, to provide tax relief packages, to provide free electricity, free water, and to support businesses to acquire PPEs and vaccines and so on. The combined impact of these factors, as well as other expenditures, resulted in an increase in the fiscal deficit from 4.8% of GDP in 2019 to 15% of GDP in 2020, and a subsequent decline to 11.4% of GDP in 2021. The primary balance also went from a surplus of 0.9% of GDP into a deficit of 5.3% of GDP in 2020, before narrowing to 2% of GDP primary deficit in 2021. I should note that Ghana has been acknowledged globally for doing an excellent job in managing the COVID-19 pandemic. And we have the strong leadership of His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to thank for that. Deaths from COVID so far have totaled 1,445, and the total case count as at yesterday, the total cases in Ghana were 42 cases. So we have managed the COVID very well, and the expenditure was necessary for us to do so and to save lives. Some commentators and analysts have argued that the COVID expenditures could not be the only reason for the large fiscal deficit that was recorded in 2020 and 2021. In fact, I agree with this view because the data supports it, and I'll show you why. Comparing the fiscal deficit in 2020 and 2021 between Ghana and other sub-Saharan African countries, the data shows that COVID expenditures alone were not sufficient to explain the increase in our fiscal deficits. The fiscal deficit to GDP in Ghana increased by threefold compared to 1.23 for Nigeria, 1.02 for Egypt, and 2.43 for Cote d'Ivoire. In addition to COVID-19, there were two major items of expenditure. In addition to COVID-19, there were two major items of expenditure that are critical to understanding the evolution of the fiscal deficit and the debt stock: the banking sector cleanup and the energy sector excess capacity payments. The data shows that the three items, when you look at COVID expenditure, the banking sector cleanup, and the excess capacity payments, amounted to 50.1 billion Ghana cedis. That is the equivalent of some $7 billion for just these three items. And the Ministry of Finance estimates that the interest payment on the borrowing, because this was borrowed, this was financed from borrowing, for our excess capacity payments, banking sector cleanup, and the COVID expenditures were financed from borrowing. And the Ministry of Finance estimates that the interest payments on this borrowing for these three items alone amounted to 8.5 billion Ghana cedis. 8.5 billion Ghana cedis. And this is about 23% of Ghana's annual interest payments of about 37 billion Ghana cedis. So to put this expenditure of 50.1 billion and interest costs of 8.5 billion in perspective, it is important to juxtapose this expenditure against the total expenditure or releases on some of our key flagship projects, including free SHS, one district, one factory, planting for food and jobs, the development authorities, the Ghana Card, Zongo Development Fund, NAPCO, teacher training allowances, and nursing training allowances. The data shows that over the last 5 years, our expenditure on all of these flagship projects was 15.6 billion Ghana cedis over 5 years. And this is compared to our expenditure on those three exceptional items I've just mentioned of 50.1 billion Ghana cedis. The expenditure, in fact, on these three items amounted to more than 3 times the expenditure on the flagship programs in the table that you are seeing. In fact, the annual interest cost of the borrowing for the exceptional items would pay for double the annual cost of all these flagship programs. Of the 3 exceptional items, apart from renegotiating IPP agreements, it is important that the receiver for the financial institutions retrieve the assets of the institutions to defray a significant portion of the 25 billion Ghana cedi debt. Now let me get to the debt stock. According to the World Bank, the attempt by governments across the world to protect livelihoods and to stimulate their economies has meant higher fiscal deficits and debt levels globally. Sizable discretionary support, along with a sharp contraction in output and an ensuing fall in revenues, has led to a surge in government debts and deficits globally. In 2020, the global government debt increased by 13 percentage points of GDP to a new world record of 97% of GDP. That's a new world record. In advanced economies, the debt to GDP was up by 16 percentage points to 120% of debt to GDP. And in emerging market economies, it was up by 9 percentage points to 63% of GDP. In fact, the data shows that the debt to GDP ratio after COVID increased in the US, the UK, Cote d'Ivoire by 12, 18, and 12.3 percentage points of GDP, respectively. The table shows that Ghana's total debt stock has increased from 122 billion in 2016 to 351 billion in 2022, an increase of 229.6 billion. At the end of 2021, external debt amounted to 170 billion, 38.7% of GDP, and domestic debt totaled 181 billion, 41.4% of GDP. Between 2019 and 2021, Ghana's debt to GDP increased by 17.6 percentage points of GDP. It should be noted, and it is important, that without the 50.1 billion for the exceptional items of the financial sector, the energy, and COVID, Ghana's debt to GDP would have been about 68% instead of the current 80% that it is. Because of COVID-19, the GDP growth was virtually zero in 2020, and this is bound to increase the debt to GDP ratio, other things equal, with a lower base. Now to the question of what projects and programs government has to show for the higher debt. Some loan agreements underpinning the external debt stock are shown in the table that you are looking at. And we have, and I present in this document that I will make available, all the external debt loans that we have contracted. And you will see that the projects that we have undertaken over these last 5 years, from the loans that we have borrowed, you'll see that we borrowed money to build the University of Environment, Science and Sustainable Development in Somanya. We contracted the loan that is part of our debt stock. The Pokwasi interchange is part of our debt stock. The Tema Impakadan Railway is part of our debt stock. The debt borrowing for Kumasi Airport Phase 2 is part of our debt stock. Tamale Airport is part of our debt stock. Obechebi Lamte interchange is there. We've borrowed money for polytechnics and technical and vocational training centers, construction of bridges, the secondary cities program, the modernization and equipment of Tetekwashi Memorial, Kibi, Aburi, Etibie hospitals, expansion of the University of Ghana Hospital Phase 2, 50 bridges, the portable water system in Yendi. We also have borrowed money for the expansion and rehabilitation, and expansion of hospital, modernization of Komfo-Anochi Teaching Hospital, the construction and commissioning of a portable water infrastructure project in Tamale, Pong generating and retrofit, Eastern Corridor, so many projects that we have, and I'll leave them for everybody to go through. So many projects across. So we can account for our use of the resources that we have borrowed. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think I've not seen any government that is now has presented this data to the public to see where your loans have gone. I don't know any government that has done that. I don't know any government that has done that. Ladies and gentlemen, we talked about moving the economy from a focus on taxation to a focus on production. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of measures to get the economy back on track when we had these challenges, and to improve domestic revenue mobilization and improve efficiency, government has increased a number of taxes. We extended the National Fiscal Stabilization Levy and the special import levies from 2020 to 2024. We imposed initially a luxury vehicle levy, which was later abolished. We increased the CST from 6% to 9% and later decreased it from 9% to 5%. We increased the National Health Insurance Levy from 2.5% to 3.5%. Introduced the Sanitation Pollution Levy of 10 pesos on the price of a liter of fuel. We had the Energy Sector Recovery Levy of 20 pesos, a Financial Sector Cleanup Levy of 5%, and recently the introduction of the e-levy of 1.5% on financial transactions. However, it is important to point out that notwithstanding the revenue challenges that we inherited when we came into office, we took the decision to reduce taxes in the economy. We were aware that our decision to reduce taxes could worsen our revenue challenges in the short term, but we were of the firm conviction that this would spur growth and increase tax revenues in the medium to long term. In fulfillment of our manifesto to move the economy from a focus on taxation to a focus on production, we have so far reduced or abolished 18 separate taxes and levies, and most of them were manifesto promises. No such broad-based reduction in taxes has been implemented by any government since independence. No such since independence. We abolished the 5% VAT on real estate sales, abolished the 17.5% VAT on selected imported medicines, abolished the 17.5% VAT on financial services, abolished the import duty on the importation of spare parts, abolished the 1% special import levy, abolished the 17.5% VAT on domestic airline tickets, abolished levies on boats on kayak. We abolished the excise duty on petroleum. We provided full corporate tax deduction for private universities who plow back 100% of profits into the university. We reduced the national electrification levy from 5% to 3%, reduced public lighting levy, reduced the special petroleum tax from 17.5% to 13%. We replaced the 17.5% VAT with a flat rate of 3% for traders. We granted a capital tax exemption on stocks traded on the Ghana Stock Exchange, abolished the income tax on mutual funds and unit trust schemes, abolished the income tax on real estate investment trust, and we recently reduced the withholding tax for gold exporters from 3% to 1%. So we reduced or abolished 18 separate taxes. And despite these tax reductions, the data shows that revenue collection in nominal cedi terms has increased by 25% annually since 2017. Beyond these measures, government focused on production in the real sector. We said from taxation to production. Virtually every government, ladies and gentlemen, in our history has noted the need for Ghana to change the structure of the economy through diversification and by shifting from the focus on the production of raw materials to value addition. This is a key pillar of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. To accomplish this, government has implemented the following programs: food and jobs to increase agricultural output for agro-processing and food sufficiency. The results of planting for food and jobs have been quite remarkable, with a significant increase in food production. The Tono Dam and the left and right banks of the Pond Dam have been rehabilitated to provide 13,190 hectares of additional irrigable land for rice and vegetable production. 80 warehouses have been constructed with a combined storage capacity of 80,000 metric tons to provide storage and reduce post-harvest losses. Reforms in the cocoa sector, including hand pollination, have resulted in the highest ever production, that is 1,047,000 tons, the highest ever recorded in the history of Ghana during the 2020-2021 cocoa season. The one district, one factory policy has taken off with significant impact on the manufacturing sector. 106 factories have been completed and are operational, and 148 factories are under construction. And this represents, ladies and gentlemen, this represents the largest number of factories established under a government in Ghana since independence. The facilitation of the growth of an automotive industry is on course. Volkswagen, Suzuki, Sinotruk, Peugeot, and Toyota, and recently Nissan, have all established assembly plants in Ghana. Kia, Hyundai, and Renault are also on course to start production in Ghana this year. Kantanka Automobile is also benefiting from the same incentives that have granted all of these foreign investors. Ladies and gentlemen, we have started the process of building the integrated bauxite and aluminum industry. The partner for the project, Rockshore International, a wholly Ghanaian-owned company, has been selected as the partner and has already started work to develop the Nyinahin Mpasaso Hills. The minerals resource estimate to confirm the quantity and quality of the bauxite is being undertaken this year, after which the refinery design will follow for the establishment of an aluminium refinery in Ghana. Ghana has waited since independence, and with visionary leadership, sound planning, and by the grace of God, it is finally happening. We are building an integrated bauxite and aluminum industry. Also, government through Exim Bank has committed $60 million to supporting local pharmaceutical companies. So far, 75% of the approved amount has been released to the local pharmaceutical companies. Ladies and gentlemen, changing the structure of our economy through diversification and the value addition will not happen overnight. However, it remains a major preoccupation of the government because it is our pathway to reduce dependency, expand the economy, create jobs, and increase exports and support the value of the currency. So, how has this shift in focus to production manifested in GDP growth? So let's look at the fundamentals of GDP growth. Ladies and gentlemen, after a period of sluggish and declining growth, real GDP growth picked up from 3.4% in 2016 to an average of 6.9% between 2017 and 2019. The onset of COVID-19 in 2020, however, resulted in a sharp reduction in GDP growth to 0.4%. In fact, many countries in the world recorded negative growth in 2020. Ghana was one of the few countries that had a positive growth, even though it was very small. The resilience of the economy manifested in 2021 with a pickup of real GDP growth from 0.4% in 2020 to a projected 5.3% in 2021, with the non-oil sector projected to grow at 6.9% in 2021. In fact, the average rate of growth of GDP for 2017 to 2021, this is the period including COVID, when we had 0.4% growth in 2020. The average rate between 2017 and 2021 is 5.3%. But it compares to an average rate of growth between 2013 and 2016, when you had no COVID, when you had no Ukraine war, of 3%. Therefore, even with COVID, the growth of the economy is fundamentally stronger than it was in the 2013 to 2016 period. In per capita terms, GDP per capita, that is total income per population, has continued to increase from 7,757 Ghana cedis in 2016 to 12,389 Ghana cedis in 2020, notwithstanding COVID. This represents an increase in GDP per capita by some 60% since 2016. In US dollar terms, GDP per capita increased from $1,978 US dollars in 2016 to $2,213 US dollars in 2020. This was the year where we had almost zero growth, but we still, in per capita terms, we've done better than we inherited in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at the sectoral growth, what is happening in agric, industry, and services, the data tells us that the agricultural sector has seen a major increase in output since 2016, increasing from an average growth of 2.85% between 2013 and 2016 to an 5.8% between 2017 and 2020. In fact, 2017 to 2020, our average growth in the agricultural sector is double what it was in 2013 to 2016. And this is as a result of the success of the Planting for Food and Jobs program. And the data for the first 3 quarters of 2021 in fact shows an even higher growth. The first 3 quarters shows a massive growth of 10.1% in the agricultural sector. Now, when we look at the industry sector, it also saw a significant growth prior to COVID. Between 2013 and 2016, industry recorded an average growth of 3.3% between 2013 and 2016, 3.3% average growth. Between 2017 and 2019, before COVID, industrial growth increased to an average of 10.8% from 3.3%. This was before COVID. With the onset of COVID-19, as you can expect, industry growth declined to minus 3.6% in 2020 and minus 1.7% in 2021. Between 2017 and 2020, Industry growth grew by 7.2%. That is including the COVID years. Between 2017 and 2020, 7.2%. And this is more than double the growth in 2013 to 2016 when they did not have COVID at all. Growth in the service sector between 2013 and 2016 averaged 5.2%. Prior to COVID, the service sector increased at an average of 7.3%. Growth, however, declined to 1.5% in 2020 to bring the average growth for the 2017-2020 period to 5.85%. There has, however, been a very significant pickup in growth in the service sector for the first 3 quarters of 2021 by 9.5%. So in summary, notwithstanding COVID-19, the agricultural sector is growing at double the rate of the 2013 to 2016 period. The industry sector is growing at double the rate of the 2013-2016 period, and the service sector has recorded a higher average growth rate than in the 2013 to 2016 period. The growth fundamentals of our economy are strong and resilient. In the context of sub-Saharan Africa, GDP growth in Ghana has consistently outpaced the growth in sub-Saharan Africa since 2017. Even in 2020, when as a result of COVID-19, sub-Saharan Africa recorded negative growth on average, Ghana was one of the few countries with positive growth. Between 2017 and 2021, growth in Ghana has averaged 5.3%, while that of sub-Saharan Africa averaged 2.3%. So GDP growth in Ghana was therefore more than double the sub-Saharan African average for this period. The evidence and the data is therefore clear that we have made good progress in shifting from a focus on taxation to a focus on production. We are also seeing in the area of unemployment declines in unemployment. Ladies and gentlemen, the holistic approach to national development adopted by our government, anchored on shared economic growth, bolstered by light manufacturing industry and investments in human capital, has invariably created opportunities and pathways for the upliftment of the citizens through employment. As you can see in the figure on your screen, the robust growth in GDP has led to a decline in total unemployment. Based on World Bank data, the average unemployment rate in Ghana between 2014 and 2016 stood at 6.29%, but has declined to an average of 4.37% between 2017 and 2020. Youth unemployment has also registered a decline from an average of 12.9% between 2014 and 2016 to an average of 9% between 2017 and 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, government is also rolling out the Youth Start initiative for the youth. It is a major initiative which will provide the youth entrepreneurs advisory services and funding to enable them scale and grow their businesses. I now come to exchange rate development. And what do the fundamentals say? So, how has the city performed under the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in the last 5 years? And what is the cause of the recent sharp depreciation of the exchange rate of the city? The data shows quite clearly, when you look at this graph, shows a clear dichotomy for the depreciation of the cedi between 2013 and 2016 and between 2017 and 2021. Cedi depreciation reached a high of 32.5% in 2014 and declined to 9.7% by 2016. The rate of depreciation further declined to 4.7% in 2017 before increasing to 12.9% by 2019 and then declining again to 3.9% in 2020 and registering 4.1% in 2021. The data shows that the average exchange rate depreciation during the 2017-2021 period, the average exchange rate depreciation over these 5 years under our government is more than twice as stable as during the 2013 to 2016 period, when the average depreciation was 18%. So you are comparing our average depreciation over 5 years of 6.8% to theirs of 18%. It's night and day. And you will see, in fact, when you look at the history of the Fourth Republic, the worst performances of the exchange rate so far since 1992, the worst exchange rate depreciation has happened in 2 eras, between 1993 and 2000 and between 2009 and 2016. Those are the worst performances in the exchange rate. I wonder who was in charge of the economy at that time. Ladies and gentlemen, so we had in the exchange rate. But in the first quarter of this year, 2022, we have seen the sharpest first quarter depreciation of the cedi since 2015. Data from the Bank of Ghana shows that at the end of March, the cedi had depreciated by 15.5%. So what explains this? That you had such, low depreciation, and all of a sudden, within a few months, you had such a high level of depreciation. Why did we see this? A number of factors can be adduced to explain what happened. The financial markets assessment of the 2022 budget, unfortunately, generally concluded that our projected 40% increase in revenue, which underpinned the 2022 budget, the financial markets assessed that this was not likely to materialize, and therefore our deficit would increase. This was not helped by the chaotic battle in Parliament over the budget and the passage of the budget, and this created uncertainty and signaled to the market that the government may not be able to get most of its programs passed in a tightly balanced Parliament. This further reinforced the lack of confidence by investors in the budget. Furthermore, delays in implementing major tax reforms, such as the benchmark policy reversal, the tax exemptions bill, the common platform for property tax, and the review of fees and charges, appeared to support the assessment of the market that the government will have difficulty in getting its programs through Parliament. To add to this negative market sentiment, there was a sovereign credit ratings downgrade by Fitch and Moody's, 2 global sovereign credit ratings agencies, as a result of concerns about fiscal and debt sustainability. If you are unable to pass your budget and the revenue measures in it, then your fiscal and your debt situations will not get better. And this was their assessment. This resulted in an unwillingness, this downgrade resulted in an unwillingness of foreign investors to roll over their holdings of our domestic debt, and they demanded foreign exchange to repatriate their investments. The lack of access to the sovereign bond market by emerging markets globally, and Ghana's announcement that it would not issue a sovereign bond in 2022 also worried investors about the adequacy of our foreign exchange reserves going forward. They therefore wanted to get a hold of the foreign exchange now, and this led to an increase in the demand for US dollars on the market. The increases also in interest rates by central banks in the US and other advanced economies also made the cedi assets less attractive and led to a move out of cedi holdings. Then in February, we had the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which started in February, at the same time that we've started seeing this significant depreciation. And the associated increase in crude oil prices and overall cost of living globally resulted in a higher demand for US dollars by foreign investors, oil importers, as well as other importers on the local foreign exchange market. There was also speculative demand for US dollars as panic set in. The combination of these factors resulted in a sharp depreciation of the cedi in the first quarter. This depreciation of the cedi was fundamentally about the market's assessment of the fiscal stance of government and its implications for fiscal and debt sustainability. This was the primary factor underpinning the ratings outcome. So we had to address the depreciation of the cedi. It therefore called for an appropriate fiscal adjustment to address the fiscal rigidities and ensure that the fiscal targets for the 2022 budget and beyond were met. Basically, we needed to cut expenditure and increase revenues of the magnitudes that will allow us to be on the path of fiscal and debt sustainability. Our assessment is that what we are facing is not a financing problem. And so we are not just going to go and borrow to solve the problem, unless that borrowing provides fiscal space to undertake critical reforms on the expenditure and revenue sides of the budget, as well as increasing economic growth. Government has taken the decision and announced revenue and expenditure measures in this regard. This include, on the expenditure side, the discretionary spending cut by an additional 10%, ongoing measures to eliminate ghost workers from the payroll, renegotiation of energy sector IPPs, prioritization of ongoing public sector projects over new ones, pursuing reprofiling strategies to reduce the interest expense burden on the fiscal, 50% cut in fuel coupons allocations to government appointees and political heads and political appointees, a moratorium on the purchase of imported vehicles for the rest of the year. On the revenue side, we have an implementation and collection of the revised property rate, implementation of the EVAT, rollout of the simplified tax filing mobile application, prioritized revenue assurance, compliance, enforcement packages, and no duty, no exit from the MPS terminal at Tema Port. And these are all very significant measures and critical steps in the right direction. In response to the increasing inflation and exchange rate depreciation, the Bank of Ghana has tightened monetary policy by increasing its policy rate by 2.5% from 14.5% to 17%, and increased reserve requirements of banks from 10% to 12%. The capital adequacy ratio has been increased from 10% to 13%. Also, a new foreign exchange auction for oil importers has been implemented by the Bank of Ghana, and this would help reduce volatility on the foreign exchange market. The announcement of these fiscal and monetary policy measures, along with the passage of the revenue measures in the budget by Parliament, has increased the confidence of investors about Ghana's fiscal outlook, and appears to have restored the foreign exchange market. Given the uncertainty surrounding geopolitical developments and their impact on the economy, we will continue to monitor the data and are ready to take further measures as may be required to meet our budget targets. The relaxation of the COVID-19 restrictions and the opening of our land borders is expected to result in increased economic activity and economic growth. In summary, the data clearly shows that overall, COVID notwithstanding, the economic fundamentals of inflation, interest rates, exchange rates, GDP growth, the trade balance, current account balance, gross international reserves during the 2017 to 2021 period are largely much stronger than they were in the 2013 to 2016 period. The fiscal deficit to GDP and the debt to GDP variables are weaker, given the COVID-related expenditures, banking sector cleanup costs, and excess capacity payments to IPPs. We should note that no government in the history of Ghana, no government has had to deal with a global pandemic which resulted in the worst global depression since the 1930s, and a war between Russia and Ukraine and its implications, and a financial crisis pretty much in succession. No government has been able to deal with these: the financial sector crisis, COVID, the war in Ukraine, and the pandemic. Circumstances, given what we have had to deal with, when you look at the fundamentals, our management of the fundamentals has been quite remarkable. Then we talk about transforming the economy. The government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo set out to build a modern, prosperous economy. There are several elements of this economic transformation. Industrialization. This is why we are doing one district, one factory, the automotive industry, the bauxite and aluminium integrated industry. Agriculture is a major part of the transformation agenda. Planting for food and jobs, rearing for food and jobs, Tree Crop Development Authority, and so on. Infrastructure, roads, railways, dams, warehouses, schools, hospitals, airports, water. Then you have the education anchor. We've grown our education, free SHS, free TVET, investment in TVET institutions. These are all building blocks to the transformation of the economy that is taking place in Ghana. However, ladies and gentlemen, we can only build a vibrant modern nation if we have strong systems and institutions that work. Otherwise, we will be stuck in a vicious cycle of rhetoric and underdevelopment. The focus of economic management by successive governments since independence in Ghana has been on crisis management. As a result of factors such as the collapse in commodity prices, increase in oil prices, debt unsustainability, political instability, macro instability, and so on, governments have by and large not focused on the underlying system that underpins economic activities. So upon assumption of office, our goal was to quickly transform our economy by leveraging on technological innovations as a means to leapfrog the development process, overcome legacy problems, and improve both economic and public sector governance. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, digitalization has been a major focus of our government. Our strategy since 2017, our strategy has been to build a new system through digital transformation. I'll now look at how we have done so. We are addressing the issue of a unique identity. From independence until we came into office, Ghana did not have a national ID system. And we quickly moved to issue the biometric national ID card, the Ghana card. This Ghana card project was initiated by President Kufuor, but was practically abandoned for 8 years. So far, 15.9 million people have been enrolled on the Ghana card by the NIA. With the Ghana card, the identity of people, can be established using their fingerprints. And I must say, this is one of the most transformational projects implemented by any government since independence. To solve the problem of a lack of a working address system in Ghana, we have leveraged GPS technology to implement a digital address system for Ghana, capturing every square inch of land in Ghana. In the process, the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority has identified and provided 7.5 million properties in Ghana with street names and house numbers. And the process of affixing address plates to these properties is ongoing. Then we set out to promote financial inclusion through mobile money interoperability. Mobile money interoperability has made it possible to transfer money seamlessly across different mobile money networks and between bank accounts and mobile wallets. Today, because of the mobile money interoperability we have implemented, today you can transfer money from MTN to Vodafone or to Tigo, and also make payments from your mobile money account into a bank account. And you can receive payments from abroad, remittances, onto your mobile phone. Before you had to go to Western Union if somebody sent you money, or go to the bank to get that money. Interoperability, when they send you money from London, United States or Canada or Germany, it can come directly onto your mobile phone and you can go ahead and spend it. Because mobile money, the mobile money account, because we've made it interoperable with the bank account, because the mobile money account performs just like a bank account, as a result of mobile money interoperability, over 90% of adult Ghanaians have bank accounts or mobile money accounts that function like bank accounts. So this problem of financial inclusion that has been with us with over 70% of our population not having bank accounts, we have practically solved the problem of financial inclusion in Ghana. I should note that Ghana is the first country in Africa and one of the first in the world to achieve this type of interoperability between bank accounts and mobile wallets. Even in the United States of America, The Federal Reserve Bank does not have interoperability in its real-time payments network. On March 15th this year, just a few weeks ago, Rwanda attained mobile interoperability between their telcos, which allows clients of one telco to send money to clients of another telco. They have not yet been able to achieve the interoperability between the mobile money account and the bank account that we have in Ghana. I am proud to say that in this area, we are way ahead of most countries in the world. Achieving mobile money interoperability in Ghana is therefore no small feat, especially if you look at the cost. We spent only $4.5 million to achieve mobile money interoperability. Some people wanted to spend $1 billion for the same thing. The data, ladies and gentlemen, the data shows that because of mobile money interoperability, Ghana is the fastest growing mobile money market in Africa. And just listen to this data. Listen to this data. At the end of 2016, the total cumulative value of mobile money transactions at the end of 2016, the total cumulative value of mobile money transactions was 78.5 billion Ghana cedis in 2016. Following mobile money interoperability, the total cumulative value of mobile money transactions has increased from 78.5 billion to 978.3 billion. Can you think about it? Think about it for a moment. From 78.5 to 978.3 billion. That is. And they don't understand why the future is digitalization. They don't understand. Today, the payment reforms we have put in place has made it very easy in Ghana to open a traditional bank account. For many banks today, anyone can open a bank account remotely on your mobile phone. You don't have to visit a bank. You don't have to fill any form. All you need in Ghana today to open a bank on your mobile phone is your Ghana card. You go and insert it, get a bank account. That's all. You dial a USSD code for the bank, insert your Ghana card number, and pronto, your account is open and you can start business. And the digital payments infrastructure is boosting e-commerce in Ghana. Businesses are booming over Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. Many people cannot afford to rent or build shops, but they are able to do business on the internet at little cost, with deliveries helped by the digital address and payments using mobile money interoperability. We have also used digitalization to address the efficient delivery of public services and corruption. Our approach to improving the delivery of public services is to minimize human contact as much as possible. Therefore, we embarked on an aggressive digitalization process of service delivery across many public institutions. We will look at the passport office. We digitized the passport office, and with digitalization, the average turnaround time for the acquisition of passports has been significantly reduced, and today you can apply for your passport from home and it can be delivered to you at home with your digital address. The digitalization of the passport application process has resulted in a significant increase in the number of passport applications that are processed annually, and also a significant increase in the revenue for the passport office. In 2017, when we started the digitalization process at the passport office, the total number of passport applications in 2017 was 16,232, and they had a revenue of 1.1 million Ghana cedis in 2017. In 2021, after digitization, the passport office online received 498,963 applications, from 16,000 to 498,000. And the revenue the passport office made has increased from 1.1 million Ghana cedis to 56.7 million Ghana cedis. And they still don't understand the link and the economy. We went to paperless ports. Previously, the bureaucracy in clearing goods at the ports involved a lot of paperwork and used to be largely manual. This caused delays, corruption, inefficiencies, frustration, and loss of revenue to the government. Many citizens who had cleared goods at the country's ports had horror stories about their experiences at the port. The introduction of the paperless port system has reduced the layers and simplified the process, reduced the time needed to clear goods and the avenues for corruption, and increased efficiencies and revenue mobilization at the ports. Since the introduction of the paperless ports, customs revenue has increased from 10 billion Ghana cedis in 2016 to 16 billion in 2021. Let's look at the DVLA. The DVLA offers two traditional services: driver's licenses and vehicle registration. These services have been fully digitalized. With digitalization of the driver's licenses in 2019, the DVLA experienced an increase in service by 109% after digitalization. As you know, the average cost at a DVLA is 500 cedis and 550 cedis for vehicle and driver's license and services. And this is compared before it's 500 to 550. But if you were dealing in the market, the Goro Boys market, you will pay between 2,000 and 3,000. So digitalization has saved a lot of people who apply for licenses and driver's licenses and vehicle registration by up to 200% and 264% at the minimum. The DVLA generated an average revenue of 71.5 million in between 2013 and 2016, average of 71.5 million, compared to the average of 168.4 million in the 4 years since 2017 and 2020 with digitalization. Ladies and gentlemen, we look at motor insurance. The National Insurance Commission has implemented the digital motor insurance database. The objective of the introduction of the motor insurance database is to curb the menace of vehicles with fake motor insurance stickers plying our roads and therefore endangering lives and property. With digitalization of motor insurance in Ghana, all insurance policies which now have key security features have been synchronized to a national database which can be accessed simply with any mobile phone by the insured, the police, and the general public. Members of the public, and you can try this when you go out and look at your vehicle, members of the public can also self-check the authenticity of their insurance policy by dialing the USSD code *920*57#. *920*57#. When you dial it and enter the number of the vehicle, it will tell you whether the vehicle is insured or not. Therefore, our police and the general public can easily check from their mobile phones whether they should actually join a particular vehicle or not. Following the implementation of the motor insurance database, the growth of motor insurance industry increased from 19% in 2019 to 37% in 2020 and 26% in 2021. The value of the business undertaking increased from 567 million in 2017 to 1.15 billion by 2021. And therefore, digitalization has dealt a severe blow to corruption in the motor insurance industry with no room for fake motor insurance certificates. When we go to the births and deaths registry, the process of digitalization of records at births and deaths is almost complete. And we are integrating the births and deaths register with the databases of the Ghana Health Service, the National Identification Authority, the Ghana Statistical Service, Immigration, and the police, so that the record of births and deaths should be consistent across all these databases. And this is supposed to start later this year. One of the most exciting things for me this year is that it is envisaged that every new child that is born in Ghana, when you are born within a few months, you will be issued with a Ghana card number. This is because we are integrating the births and deaths of the Ghana Health Service with the police, with the Statistical Service. So, starting later this year, it will be announced. The work is virtually complete, but starting later this year, when a child is born, just as it happens in America, it happens in the UK, it is going to happen in Ghana. When you are born, you will get your national ID number. Digitization and the integration of the databases will deal a severe blow to corruption at the births and deaths registry. Ladies and gentlemen, we also implemented the Scholarship Secretariat digitalization. In the past, candidates applying for scholarship usually had to travel from all parts of the country to Accra. But today, you can sit in the comfort of your own home, apply for a scholarship. You will be asked to take an aptitude test, and then you will be interviewed locally at the district. You don't need to come to Accra to apply for a scholarship. The Ghana.gov platform has also been implemented. To make it easy to access government services, government has launched the Ghana.gov portal, which is a one-stop shop for accessing government services. This means that you should be able to apply for and obtain any government service online through the Ghana.gov platform. And when you go, whether it's passport, whether it's driver's license, whether it's the payment of taxes, all government services will be on Ghana.gov. And when you go there, all payments that you make for that service will go directly into the government account. The Ghana.gov platform, since we launched it so far, has received a total of 55.7 billion Ghana cedis in payments. And it is quite likely that if these payments, or many of these payments, were to have been made through cash, quite a bit may have ended up in private pockets. Digitalization has therefore dealt a big blow to corruption that is involved in the collection of payments by different institutions for government. Even the buying of electricity credit on your mobile phone through the mobile ECG app has provided relief to customers who no longer have to queue for long hours to buy electricity. Also, people whose credit runs out at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., they can just go to their mobile phone, buy credit, and they'll have light beyond. Then we even applied it to the football tickets. To address the inefficiency and corruption within the ticketing regime for football, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, in collaboration with the National Sports Authority and the GFA, piloted an e-ticketing system for the recent World Cup qualifying match between Ghana and Nigeria at the Kumasi Sports Stadium. People who wanted to buy tickets could do so on their mobile phone, and there was no need to queue or waste time for tickets or to buy them from the black market. I could watch from the dashboard hour by hour as the tickets were being sold, and I knew immediately when the stadium was full. You could watch it. It was a pilot, but it was a very successful pilot. And guess what? It yielded the highest revenue of 1.423 million Ghana cedis, the highest revenue for any football match in the history of Ghana. It was amazing. The highest revenue in the history of Ghana for any football match, because we went digital. They have never seen the revenue of that amount. So in the past, where was the money going? And they still don't understand the link between digitization and the economy. They still don't understand. Anyway, I was told yesterday that the football clubs have also said from now on they also want digitization at their stadium. So the next Haas Kotoko match is going to be on digital e-tickets. And the system is going to be rolled out to all major stadia in Ghana. Digitization is going to deal a severe blow to the corruption in the ticketing for football games and result in higher revenues for the club. We are also digitizing the distribution of premixed fuel. The issue of premixed fuel is one that has been problematic for fishermen in Ghana. The complaints never seem to go away because of the role of middlemen. Many fishermen do not get the subsidized supplies and have to buy from the market as a result. In response to this, the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture has begun the process of digitizing the premix distribution. And when completed, the registered fisher folks would be able to directly obtain their premix without the intervention of third parties. A similar exercise is ongoing by the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to digitize fertilizer distribution, and that process is almost near completion. Now let's look at domestic revenue mobilization. Ghana has a major challenge in the area of domestic revenue mobilization. Our tax to GDP ratio is about 14%, compared to 27% for South Africa and 34% for the advanced economies. Most adults are outside the tax net, and compliance is very low. At the beginning of 2017, only 4% of the adult population of Ghana had tax identification numbers. Only 4% of the adult population at the beginning of 2017 had tax identification numbers. Broadening the tax net is therefore imperative, and in this regard, a number of digital initiatives have been implemented to broaden the tax base. To increase the number of people with tax identification numbers, we took the decision to designate the Ghana card number as the tax identification number. So your Ghana card number is your tax identification number. Nobody needs to go and apply for another tax identification number. In doing so, the percentage of adults with tax identification numbers has increased from 4% to 85%. From 4%, from independence to 2017. From independence to 2017, it was 4%. We didn't move the needle. From 2017, when we began, and we changed it, we've moved from 4% to 85%. And they still don't understand the link between digitization and the economy. The SNIT, National Health Insurance, the TIN, Passport, Controller and Accountant General Payroll, DVLA, and so on, have been linked or are being linked to the Ghana card database. Today, your SNIT number is your Ghana card number. Your NHIS number is your Ghana card number. Your number is your Ghana card number. SNIT and NHIA are no longer printing their own cards. The Ghana card is enough for them. They will not print, and they are saving a lot of money. They are saving a lot of money, and they still don't understand the link between the digitization and the economy. The integration of databases is allowing us to successfully weed out ghost workers on payroll. A biometric audit of the National Service Scheme payroll alone, just National Service, when we audited the payroll, we found 14,027 ghost workers on the National Service. And we have saved government 112 million Ghana cedis just from the National Service alone. Just one audit, we've saved government 112 million Ghana cedis. And we have started the process of audit with the Controller and Accountant General payroll. That is the next one, which is ongoing. Ladies and gentlemen, many people, including very highly educated people, find the process of filing taxes rather complex. To make it easier and less cumbersome, I challenged the GRA to come up with a simple mobile application to enable very ordinary people, our own market women and very ordinary people, file taxes using mobile phone and without filling any form. Simplify the process. And I am happy to announce that GRA has completed that work and will very soon, in the next few weeks, hopefully, roll out this new mobile app where you can file your taxes through your mobile phone. The tax filing mobile app has been designed specifically to make filing of taxes very simple. Once you sign on, you will be asked just a few simple questions, and once completed and you hit the send button, it will calculate the taxes that are due you, or the refund that is due you. You can then proceed to pay using the mobile money or other channels. You will receive an electronic receipt of your payment, and you will also automatically, once you have filed and paid your taxes, you will automatically receive a tax clearance certificate. So going forward, nobody has to go and apply for a tax clearance certificate. Once you file your taxes, the tax clearance certificate will be sent to you electronically. So the era of fake tax clearance certificates is about to end. Then we look at healthcare. We have embarked in the area of medical records. We have embarked on the connection of health facilities under the Ghana Health Service on one digital platform. So far, all teaching hospitals and all regional hospitals have been connected and can talk to each other. 36 facilities in the central region have also been connected to the digital platform on a pilot basis. The process for other hospitals is ongoing, and we expect that it will be completed next year. If you are referred, for example, from a hospital like Tamale Teaching Hospital to Kolebu Hospital in Accra, you do not need to carry a folder. All your records are now already linked, and you will be seen and monitored by the doctor at Kolebu when you arrive. Patients will only have one digital folder wherever they go. We also digitized the operations of the National Health Insurance Authority, and digitizing their operations has helped to reduce fraudulent claims. The renewal of all national health insurance registrations used to take place at various NHIA offices. This led to backlogs and long queues. In some instances, people slept for days outside some of the district offices. These delays hampered the operations and limited revenue streams of the NHIA. Following digitalization, renewal of national health insurance registration is by mobile phone. *929* has eliminated these bottlenecks and has also increased access to health care by those who need them most. And this has led to a 70% increase in renewals. So we are seeing major efficiency gains. Ladies and gentlemen, hospitals and clinics in remote areas and largely rural communities like Nyangosre in the Afajato South, or Yunyo have difficulty in getting medical supplies, especially in times of emergencies involving, for example, snake bites, childbirth, blood supplies, and so on. Many lives are needlessly lost because the hospitals are unable to access critically needed medical supplies on time. To address this problem, Ghana opted to partner Zipline, the world's largest automated on-demand delivery service for medical supplies. Ghana is only the second country in Africa, after Rwanda, to implement the delivery of medical supplies through drones, to remote areas through drones. There are 6 Zipline distribution centers so far in Omenako, Mpanya, Vopsi, Krachi, and Enum. The next 2 and the final 2 distribution centers will be located in Funsi in the Upper West region and Kintampo in the Bono region. This will bring Zipline drone coverage to all of Ghana. Zipline has made millions of deliveries of medicines, vaccines, blood, and so on to very remote parts of Ghana and has saved many lives. I should add that Ghana currently has the largest medical drone delivery service in the whole world. In the whole world, we are leading in this technology. And what is even more impressive is that the drone centers, all these centers we've established, the 6 centers, are 100% manned by young, talented Ghanaians. 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, something exciting is about to happen. The Pharmacy Council, in collaboration with the private sector, has completed work on the digital platform for all pharmacies in Ghana, and the pilot of 45 pharmacies has been completed. Basically, the National Electronic Pharmacy Platform will offer the opportunity for everyone through a mobile phone to upload your prescription and find out in the first place which pharmacies near you have the medicine. Sometimes you have to visit 5 pharmacies before you know where to find the medicine. So when you upload your prescription, it will tell you where the medicine is, and then it will allow you to compare the prices. Then it will allow you to compare all the prices to find out which is the cheapest for you to go and buy. And this is very exciting. You will be able to order the drug. You don't have to leave your home. You will be able to order the drug, and you can have it delivered by giving your digital address, and they will bring it home for you. There are a lot of sick people who cannot leave their homes. There are a lot of sick people who cannot leave their homes but need medicine. But if you have this platform, you can just order your medicine from the pharmacy, pay for it by mobile phone, and let it be delivered for you at home. The National Electronic Pharmacy Platform will be launched just in the next few weeks. This is massive, by the way. It will make Ghana one of very few countries in the world to have a national scale e-pharmacy platform. We'll be one of very few in the world to have it. We're in the education sector. We have provided Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi to 700 senior high schools. Free Wi-Fi. 700 senior high schools, 260 district education offices, and 13 public universities. And we have started the process of distributing laptops to teachers. And the next major effort on this scale is to provide tablets. And I know the Minister for Education is working on it. We want to provide tablets loaded with all the textbooks on the tablet students, so that we don't have to carry paper and all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, with industrialization, agriculture, skills education, digitalization, our government is tackling some key challenges in this country. And these are key challenges we faced since independence. That notwithstanding, we have to acknowledge the reality of the hardships and suffering of people that people face in their everyday lives. In opposition, we promise to alleviate suffering of Ghanaians. So what have we done to mitigate and alleviate suffering? Ladies and gentlemen, the record shows that the MPP government, under the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is a government that is predisposed and committed to reducing the suffering of Ghanaians. Over the last 5 years, we have implemented measures to alleviate or mitigate the suffering of Ghanaians. And I will list a few of them. We have paid the bills of some $1 billion annually in excess capacity payments to keep the lights on and to keep Dumso away. We have reduced electricity tariffs cumulatively by 10.9%. When the previous government was in office, cumulatively, they increased in electricity tariffs by 264%. We have reduced electricity by 9%. We provided free water for households for a year during COVID. We provided free electricity for Lifeline users and a 50% reduction for other users for a whole year. The electricity tariffs over the last 5 years have been the lowest increase for any 5-year period over the last 30 years. It's just been remarkable. We've doubled the capitation grant for basic schools from 4.5 cedis to 10 cedis, 10 Ghana cedis. We've created jobs and stopped the freeze on recruitment in the public sector. Hundreds and thousands of people have been recruited. Unlike the private sector, which laid off thousands of workers during COVID and reduced salaries, there were no layoffs of public sector workers during COVID. In fact, we rather added more by hiring 58,000 health workers during COVID. We have increased the share of the District Assembly Common Fund to persons with disabilities by 50%. We've exempted Kaya from market tolls. We've expanded LEAP beneficiaries by 150,000 people. We've expanded the school feeding program by 1.6 million, from 1.6 million children to 2.1 million children, and also increased the amount by 25%. We have restored teacher training allowances, restored nursing training allowances, established NAPCO with 100,000 graduates. And these programs have continued, notwithstanding the current challenges which have resulted in sometimes delays in programs. We haven't cancelled or abolished the programs. We've abolished the 3-month pay policy for teachers who were paid 3 months only for sometimes working for 3 or 4 years. We've absorbed the cost of BECE and WACSI exam registrations. We've subsidized farmers with fertilizer. We have abolished or reduced 18 separate taxes. We've reduced corruption associated with obtaining public services by digitizing most of the public sector. We've provided 600 million Ghana cedis in COVID funds to small businesses. We've made it easier to renew NHIS membership, easier to clear your goods from the port. We've spent 25 billion Ghana cedis to save the deposits of 4.6 million depositors and thousands of businesses which would have otherwise collapsed. We have implemented free TVET and we have implemented free SHS, providing free tuition, free uniforms, free textbooks, and feeding to students. Over 1.2 million children are benefiting from free SHS. And when you look at all these interventions to mitigate the sufferings of Ghanaians, over the last 5 years, we have spent a total of 62.3 billion Ghana cedis. 62.3 billion Ghana cedis. This is the equivalent of some $8.5 billion. And these expenditures have proven to be critical shock absorbers in this crisis period of rising prices for food and for goods globally. Ladies and gentlemen, just imagine what many households would be going through today if, in addition to all the rising prices that we are seeing, if in addition to all these rising prices, just imagine how they would have been if they had to pay their children's school fees, if they had to buy textbooks, if they had to buy uniforms, if they had to pay higher electricity prices, if they had to pay BECE and WACSI exam fees. What if they had also lost their deposits at the bank, which they were one of the 4.6 million Ghanaians who would have lost their deposits at the banks? What if was back? What if teacher training allowances were cancelled, nursing allowances cancelled, and there was no recruitment of teachers? There was a freeze on public employment, no expansion of leave, no expansion of free school feed. What would it have been if these shock absorbers that the government has put in place were not there? Just think about it. Just think about it for a moment. Just think about it for a moment. We have spent 62.3 billion to put in place shock absorbers. And so, it is clearly, millions of households would have been in much worse shape without these social interventions. There are some governments who were in office for 8 years without COVID, without spending any money on financial sector crisis, without dealing with all of these, teacher training, nursing training, all. They couldn't put in any social intervention. Not one. Looking around Africa, so many countries growing through this crisis do not have the social interventions that the MPP government has introduced. We, as a government, have been very sensitive to the plight and the suffering of Ghanaians. Without these shock absorbers, things would have been much worse for our citizens. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, we are keenly aware of the challenges of these times. A few years ago, we committed to working with you to build a country in which every young person can hope and aspire and reach his or her fullest potential right here in Ghana. Everything we have done since then is in keeping faith with this contract we hold sacred. From our flagship programs in education, health, agriculture, industry, and digital transformation initiatives through entrepreneurship and youth employment, we have held nothing back in working towards this dream night and day. At the same time, I have been inspired by the achievements of our many young, brilliant minds in various fields, from sports through robotics to fintech, who have risen to the challenge of contributing positively towards this bright future against the difficult odds and obstacles. It is amazing witnessing firsthand the handiwork of young Ghanaian craftsmen and women, budding cottage industry entrepreneurs with products whose quality and branding matches any in the world, and artists whose music and stagecraft have achieved world acclaim. Over the last hour and a bit or so, I have traced in what I hope is in vivid color the positive trajectory of our economy until the twin tragedies of the global COVID pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine caused to knock us off course. It is easy to forget, understandably, with the passing of time. The pandemic has been raging for 2 long years, the enormity and the impact it has had on the global economy and on ours too. But right at its very early stages, in April of 2020 to be precise, the managing director of the International Monetary Fund described it, amongst others, and I quote, as a crisis like no other, end quote. She went on to say that, and I quote, it is more complex with interlinked shocks to our health and our economies that have brought our way of life to an almost complete stop. The outlook is dire, and we expect global economic activity to decline on a scale we have never seen since the Great Depression, end quote. By the time the pandemic was just a year in, it had compelled governments globally, including Ghana, to spend a mind-blowing $16 trillion to save lives and protect livelihoods of its citizens, and to ensure businesses stay alive to provide income to millions of people. Global debt to GDP ratios rose to 97%, with average fiscal deficits for even advanced economies reaching 12%. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the sheer scale we have been dealing with 2 years on, with appreciable success, only also to be hit again by the Russian-Ukraine war in February this year, the full extent of the potential impact of which we cannot begin to fathom. All these, I am humbled by the overwhelming support we have received from the people of Ghana, from the groundnut sellers, the mechanics, carpenters, teachers, and students, through nurses and doctors, and everyone else in between, in facing down these storms to date, despite the hardships they have imposed on us. In the midst of the current challenges we face, we are putting in place key pillars for economic transformation of Ghana. Our progress has only temporarily been stalled. We may not yet be where we want to be, and we may be buffeted by winds of the pandemic and of the war for yet a little while. But we have made a great start, and together we will finish what we have started. We understand your desires for a bright and prosperous future, a future that would have the resilience to better withstand shocks of the nature we are currently experiencing. I am excited about the prospects of the nation we are building, the brilliant minds being nurtured who are contributing towards this vision. We must allow our mindset to build our courage that we can be amongst the best in the world at anything. Some of our senior high schools are winning robotic competitions. We must believe in our capabilities and also do away with the impossibility mindset. We must believe in our capabilities. We are building a new economy. Under the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for the first time in our history, Ghana has successfully issued a national ID card. For the first time, Ghana has a digital property address system. For the first time in our history, Ghana has mobile money interoperability. For the first time in our history, any Ghanaian who has a national ID card can open a traditional bank account using their mobile phone. For the first time in our history, over 80% of adults in Ghana have tax identification numbers. For the first time in our history, Ghana is using drones for the delivery of critical medicines and blood. For the first time in our history, Ghana is implementing one district, one factory. And our government has facilitated the establishment of more factories than any other government since independence. For the first time in our history, Ghana has paperless clearing at our ports. We have digitized for the first time in our history the passport acquisition process. We have digitized for the first time in our history the acquisition of driver's license. For the first time in our history, we have implemented a Ghana.gov platform, and people can renew for the first time in our history their NHIS membership on the mobile phone. For the first time in our history, we can apply for scholarships on the mobile phone.
Thank you. For the first time. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, for the thank you. So for the first time, thank you very much. For the first time in our history, Ghanaians can apply for scholarships on their mobile phones. For the first time in our history, Ghanaian students will be able to apply for student loans without the need for a guarantor. For the first time in our history, government is implementing a pension scheme for cocoa farmers. For the first time in our history, Ghanaians and law enforcement can find out the insurance status of any vehicle using the motor insurance database on your mobile phone. Time in our history, Ghanaians were provided free electricity for lifeline consumers for a year at the height of the COVID pandemic. For the first time in our history, Ghanaians were provided the 50% reduction for non-lifeline consumers. For the first time in our history, Ghanaians were provided free water for their year during the COVID pandemic. For the first time in our history, we provided Wi-Fi to 700 senior high schools and 13 public universities. For the first time in our history, Ghanaian pensioners can obtain their SNIT pensions just after 10 days after application for their pensions. For the first time in our history, a nationwide e-pharmacy will be launched in the next few weeks. For the first time in our history, Ghana has implemented one constituency. For the first time in our history, we have implemented the Zongo Development Fund. For the first time in our history, we are implementing one district, one hospital under the Agenda 111. For the first time in our history, we are implementing free TVET and have established the Ghana TVET service. And for the first time in our history, we have implemented free senior high school education. As I bring my remarks to a close, it is important to note that this global crisis would have hit us irrespective of which government is in office. It is a global crisis. It would have hit us. However, how well we can come out of this depends on which government is in office and its track record of delivery. Our government has achieved a lot, and as a country, we have come a long way. We must celebrate our achievements, big and small, and not seek to tarnish or belittle our achievements for the sake of politics. I look forward to all of you doing your part in making our nation great and strong. We are on the right path with sound policies to enhance growth, fiscal and monetary policy discipline, and by the grace of God, we are bouncing back better and stronger. We will weather the storm. We will turn this tide. We will continue to work tirelessly for the good of this nation. There is no doubt that the future of Ghana is brighter and safer under our economic management. Thank you for your attention. Long live TASCOM. Long live the MPP. God bless you. God bless our homeland Ghana. Make her great and strong.
Hello, it's okay, please. Please, let's sit down. Commitment. Please, let's sit down. We are about finishing. Let's sit down. Please, let's sit down. Let's sit down. The program is not over. Please, let's be disciplined. The program is not over. Let's end this program beautifully. Let's sit down. Quickly, we have 3 presentations to make, and then I'll leave the mic for the MCs. National Chairman, can you please come up for us? National Chairman. Chairman Freddie Wasma, he served the party very well. He led us. He gave us victory 2 successive times. Please, let's give a sounding applause to Chairman Wasma Uble, Director of DI. Dr. Antoinette Tibu, where are you? Good. Commitment. Sir, the National Youth Wing of the New Patriotic Party remains grateful to you for your immeasurable support, commitment, and guidance. Thank you for the good counsel and leadership. Aiko Chairman. Thank you very much. Somebody should help Chairman. Our adorable First Lady. Our adorable First Lady. Her Excellency, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, mommy, please. Please sit down. Please sit down. Please sit down. Let's end this program beautifully.
We still have the Vice President of the Republic in our midst. Kindly let's all be seated. Let's all be seated and let's have some order in the house. Mommy, you've been a mother figure to the National Youth Wing of the New Patriotic Party and have in diverse ways supported the Youth Wing in all our programs. We celebrate you for your commitment towards youth empowerment. Thank you, His Excellency Rebecca Akufo-Addo. Please put your hands together for the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your commitment towards the development of the youth of this country. Thank you.
The economic colossus, the man who has sent shivers down the spine of the NDC this evening, His Excellency, Dr. Alhaj Mahmoud Bawumia will be accompanied by her beautiful wife to come and take this for us. This is a beautiful thing from the National Youth Wing. Her Excellency Samira Bawumia.
Kindly be seated, let's have some order in the house as we welcome the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana and the beautiful Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana. The National Youth Wing of the New Patriotic Party appreciates the continuous support and your commitment towards the youth wing and the MPP in general. Thank you, His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you so much, sir. Please put your hands together for the Vice President and the beautiful Samira for all their support and commitment towards youth development in our dear party and in our dear country. Thank you so much, Alhaji and Alhajia, for all your support and your commitment towards the development of youth development in this country. At this juncture, Fiscal, commitment. Let's have some order as we wrap up the event for tonight. It's very important that we acknowledge the Vice President for being able to stand on his feet. For more than 2 hours. Please put your hands together for the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, for the energy, the intelligence that he has shown this evening. Thank you so much. We also thank the First Lady of the Republic of Ghana for staying with us and being with us tonight. And the Second Lady for staying with us on this one.
Okay, all right.
Now,